Hello and welcome to Breaking Bread with Rivaaj Maharaj, where nothing is off the table. For today's episode, I want to talk about the breaking news coming in that Israel has preemptively struck Iran. So without further ado, let's get into it. About an hour ago, the Israelis launched preemptive strikes against Iran. The targets were primarily centered around Tehran, and the Iranians have confirmed that 2 explosions have occurred within the city of Tehran. The Iranians have further said that the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei is not in Tehran and has been spirited out of the capital to an unknown or an undisclosed location. The Israelis are calling this operation the Shield of Judah, and according to the Israelis, the US were participating in these strikes. Now, the focus of these strikes is on Tehran, but in the last few minutes, the Iranian authorities have released information saying that other parts of Iran have been targeted as well. The Iranian and Iraqi airspaces have been closed and shut down completely. It's emerged in the last few minutes that Mossad, the Israeli secret intelligence services, has launched a Telegram channel, an Iranian Telegram channel, and it is asking the people of Iran to rise up against the Iranian regime and to also post pictures and videos of the anti-Iranian regime activities onto this channel. It's also being reported that the Iranian currency is in a free fall, with standing at 175,000 to the dollar. The IRGC has just put out a statement saying that due to the Israeli preemptive strikes on Tehran, the IRGC itself has suffered loss of life of some of its personnel and lots of injuries to its personnel. There are reports coming out now that by the Times of Israel saying that the United States were actively involved in these strikes. Israel is under a lockdown and Jerusalem apparently seems to be quiet. However, the Israelis are expecting a retaliation from the Iranians. Reuters has just confirmed that an unnamed US official has confirmed that US strikes on Iran are underway. So this is breaking news happening right now as we speak. And I think it's no surprise that the Israelis have launched this preemptive strike. Lots of news channels, Sky News, BBC, all covering it, saying that they were surprised because it's Shabbat. However, I think that Shabbat would have been the most appropriate time to strike Iran because the Iranians would have been lulled into a false sense of security, as Jews usually during Shabbat refrain from any work operations or any work duties, and it's a time where they, everything shuts down basically. So I think if there was ever a time the Iranians expected an attack not to happen, it would have been Shabbat. I think we knew that the cards were on the table. I think now it's just a matter of time to see where this ends, and could this be the end of the Iranian regime? We're keeping a close eye on this and monitoring it, and we'll be updating you as things progress. I want to thank you for spending time with us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, as it helps us with the channel and it helps our channel to grow.
Sean, we'll come back to you shortly, but I do want to bring in our Security and Defence Editor, Deborah Haynes, who can join us now. So, Deborah, Israel's Defence Minister confirming that Israel has attacked Iran and declared a state of emergency. And we're getting a lot of reports suggesting US involvement of some sorts, quoting anonymous officials. What do you make of it?
I think it would be inconceivable, given the build-up over the last few weeks and all of the rhetoric from the American side, that this operation would not be happening without significant American involvement. And yes, the Israelis might have been first out the block with admitting that they were, or acknowledging that they are involved, but clearly, from all the reporting that's coming out, there is a significant American involvement too, which would signal that Donald Trump, he said yesterday, didn't he, that he hadn't made a decision about what to do when it comes to Iran. That decision must have been made after he made those words. And everybody was second guessing. The anticipation and all of the warnings and the indicators that an American strike was imminent were everywhere and have been for a few days now. The only unknown was what Donald Trump was thinking and what he was going to decide. And clearly he's weighed up the options and, if all these reportings are confirmed, decided that that military action is the only way to achieve the objectives that he said. But as Sean was saying, the objectives are pretty unclear, and this is very high risk. And the Iranians will also have been preparing and wargaming an outcome where America and Israel launch attacks on them. And clearly from the reporting that you're getting, this doesn't seem to be particularly limited. There's multiple sites reportedly being hit. It does seem they're going after missile and nuclear strikes, if those names of locations that you just mentioned are correct. And if that is the case, it's going to have to be different from June, when the last time that America struck Iran, which was a very rapid and surgical operation. This time around, if the objectives are more broad in terms of changing the leadership, because clearly that is who the Americans have been, most criticizing and demanding that they alter their course when it comes to their nuclear ambitions, then the potential is obviously there for this to be a much bigger operation. And also, crucially, the firepower, the American firepower in the region. Yes, of course, it's not finite, but it is significant.
And in fact, exactly corresponding to what you've just been saying, we've just had Reuters report an Iranian official telling them that Tehran is preparing for retaliation, and they go on to say the response will be crushing.
And I think that is absolutely the thing to look for now. Of course, Iran is going to say that the response is going to be overwhelming. They have to say that. The key indicator will be exactly how far they go and how far they can go, because their military has been under significant attack in the different waves of attacks that obviously you've had the very overt operations that the Americans previously conducted. And in the run-up to that as well, the Israelis have launched a number of raids into Iran, degrading their air defense systems and going after their ability to launch ballistic missiles. But we do know, of course, that Iran has a significant stockpile of ballistic and cruise missiles and drones. It has the ability to cause significant harm. And the key will be to what extent the regime sees this as existential, and therefore it goes all out in terms of its response. To what extent, if that is the case, it's able to do that in terms of its stockpiles and its ability to attack, given the operations that have already been conducted against it, and then how well the Americans and the Israelis are going to be able to defend against that. And of course, it's not just Israel and the US that are prepared for these anticipated Iranian counterattacks. For example, the UK has assets, of course, within range and in the region. We know that the British military, they forward deployed F-35 warplanes, which are our most advanced fighter jets, to the RAF base in Cyprus. There have also been Typhoon jets deployed to Qatar, again in more of a we've been told, a defensive role for now. But if Iran is going to counterattack and is going to not just go after the US and Israeli targets, but target wider allies in the region, then clearly the UK could well be drawn into this.
And I noticed that Iraq has now closed its airspace. A number of countries neighbouring this region doing the same, Deborah. And perhaps it's a naive question, but where does this leave diplomacy? I mean, we've just had talks in Geneva. The Iranians and the Omanis, who are trying to negotiate between the US and Iran, made some quite positive noises after the talks there. They were intended to be more talks happening next week. Is diplomacy over after a strike like this?
I mean, in a war situation, which this obviously has now escalated to, then clearly diplomacy didn't work. I mean, that's just to state the obvious. But war ends through diplomacy. And so there will clearly be those that absolutely urgently see the need for talks in order to try to diffuse and de-escalate. But while things are very hot, then clearly diplomacy is not going to be at the forefront of people's minds right now. But I think the fact that the Americans reportedly, and then obviously the Israelis as well, decided to take this, and Israel described it as preemptive action, it signals that, and Donald Trump did say that as well, didn't he, that he wasn't happy with the way that the talks had been going. And yes, while they had set further talks to happen in the coming week, he'd taken the decision that it wasn't moving fast enough, or that the Iranians weren't acting in good faith, or weren't serious in their in whatever offer they were making to try to meet the American demands over their nuclear ambitions, that wasn't sufficient. And so clearly he's deciding to use the military instrument, war, to put pressure on the regime, believing that is the way to achieve, through potential further diplomacy, the objectives that he wants, where it comes to Iran absolutely openly and decisively saying that it will not pursue a nuclear program. And there's also obviously huge concerns about Iran's missile program. The other element that has for a long, long time caused extraordinary alarm and concern amongst the US and its allies has been Iran's wide network of proxy forces, such as Hezbollah, which have, and in Iraq, you mentioned Iraq, but the Iranian-backed militias that have a very strong presence in that country too. But that arm of Iran's ability to cause harm has been significantly eroded and degraded since the October the 7th attacks by Hamas on Israel, when Israel has absolutely and fairly decisively gone after groups such as Hezbollah in terms of degrading their ability to come to Iran's defences at a moment of existential peril like now. So really for Iran, it will be about the capacity of its own military to inflict harm. Clearly, it is known that they have the ability to do that. And then it becomes how well that can be defended against, what damage is inflicted, and how America responds.
Deborah, for the moment, thanks very much indeed. I do want to tell any viewers just joining us that we're bringing you breaking news this morning. Israel has carried out strikes against Iran. Well, Adam Parsons is in Jerusalem for us this morning. Our security and defence editor, who you've just been listening to, Deborah Haynes, is also live with us this morning. Plus, our security and defence analyst, Michael Clark, will be getting all your views and reaction to events throughout this morning, of course. But let me talk to Michael first of all.